I am Anna Seewald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about growing ourselves while raising our children. I'm a psychologist, educator, and parent coach. And on this podcast, I explore how you can connect to your authentic self, practice radical self-care, and raise emotionally healthy children. Let's break the cycle of generational trauma for a more peaceful, kind, and compassionate world. Today, 7 ways to parent with intention in 2026 and avoid common mistakes. Want to start 2026 feeling calmer, more connected, and intentional as a parent? This episode is for you. As 2025 comes to a close, my friend and occasional co-host Dr. Laura Froyen and I share a warm, grounding conversation about parenting, reflection, community, and the small shifts that can make a big difference in family life. We talk about setting intentions for the new year. This is an invitation to slow down, reflect, and focus on what truly matters. You'll hear how to take stock of your past year, notice what's essential, get in touch with your values, and parent more intentionally. We dive into practical topics like screen time, home environments, children's play, shared meals, technology, and ways to create calmer, more connected families. We also explore how to notice when you slip into autopilot, fall into old habits, or become complacent. Pausing and recognizing these moments is key to getting back on track. I share a simple exercise to check in with yourself, and Laura offers tips for choosing intentions that feel right. Whether you're listening during a quiet moment between holidays or on a walk as you reset for the year, this episode is full of practical ideas, personal stories, and inspiration to help you start the new year with clarity and possibility. Please enjoy, and thank you for listening. Happy holidays. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me back, Anna. It's so good to see you.
Likewise, I am super excited, and I promise in the new year, we'll get together more frequently and do more podcasts together.
You know what? We're doing the best that we can. But I do love getting to see you, and I feel so honored to get to join in your community from time to time.
And my community adores you, and I know that for a fact. So as we close the year and enter into the new one, I am thinking, let's kind of take a moment to pause, look back, reevaluate things, how we did certain things, how was the year for us. It's always good to look back, take stock in order to look forward. I enjoy slowing down in December. I know it could be a hectic time, but I also enjoy pausing, reflecting, setting new intentions for the new year, setting new goals. Not so much resolutions, but more intentions. I am positive you share a similar attitude, similar values. And yesterday on social media, I saw something. It said December, and underneath it had different words that start with detox, declutter, and
de-stress. Oh, fun.
De-stress. This is so clever. So let's take this opportunity of December and declutter, detox our life, our phones, our folders, our computers, our cupboards, right? Our children's toys, and start anew.
Yeah, I think at this time is a really great opportunity for that. So many of the, the activities that our kids are in are winding down. They're going to be off school. They're not going to have as much going on in the day to day. I know it can be a very busy time, but it's busy with different stuff, not like just the typical day-to-day life. And so it is a good chance to take stock and reevaluate, just check in on how things are going. Is it going the way that we thought it would? Is, what needs to be tweaked? I also think, especially if you are, you celebrate a holiday where lots of things come into the house during this time, it's a great opportunity to clear things out and make space for the new.
I sort of feel like naturally I do that. I went through my phone, for example, yesterday, and I deleted contacts that I don't recognize these names, right? They are in my
Oh, good for
phone.
you.
But who
Gosh.
are these people? Who is Meg? Who is, Beverly? And so,
This is why on my phone, every time I put a name in, I like write in the last name portion, like who they are to me. So like so and so, that is, Rebecca's mom, or like this is Maya. She lives in the White House on on
yeah,
the corner. Like because I can't remember anything.
especially where there are repeat names. So I went through my computer, my Google Doc. I declutter naturally.
That is a big job, Anna.
Yeah, and I'm feeling great about that. Like I feel like you invite new things, newness, new energy into your home
Create a little space.
when you create space. Yeah, I love space, spaciousness, white space, cupboards with nothing in them, on them. That's me. So, how shall we structure it today that can help our listeners take stock of their past year and how to set intentions for the new year?
Well, maybe we can go through some of the practices that we not like that we do for our families. We can provide a little bit of an insight into what that looks like for us, but then also, what some of the questions that we ask ourselves, some of the little rituals that a person could try on and see. So it sounds like for you, a big part of getting ready for the new year is to do a little bit of decluttering, of kind of taking a look around, finding what's not working anymore and releasing it. Would you say that that's true?
I absolutely, yes. I do that. Not only like material things, decluttering, also things that no longer serve me, or sometimes I work on creative projects and they're wonderful ideas, but if it's been sitting there and I want to get to it someday, I also released that. And like I can say that this was my book idea, right? We haven't talked about this off the record, but on the record, I will say that for the past couple of years, I've been involved in writing a book proposal and trying to get an agent to get this book published. And I was so excited about it, right? It took a couple of years to write the proposal and make it, polish it and all of that. And it was a very hard process to get agents to talk to you, number one. And the ones who talked to me, they rejected the book solely because I don't have millions of social media followers on Instagram. And I said, I don't use Instagram. It's been 2 years. I have deactivated. And they said, well, if you want to publish a book, you have to have Instagram and a lot of followers. I said, but my book, but me. They said, it's lovely. Your book is an amazing book. Your idea, you're wonderful. I heard that from a few agents. And you know what? Because I had worked so much, I've written like 4 chapters and polished and edited. Eventually, I came to a realization that I need to let this go.
Yeah, you can't keep pouring into it.
I cannot pour into this and make it perfect. It's not about that. And it's kind of bittersweet because I put so much work into it. And then just to realize that, no, it's not me, it's not my efforts, and I have to let it go and start a new project. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have a hard time with doing those kinds of things anymore. Maybe in the past, I would have clung to it and pushed through. But now I'm like, no, I'm releasing this. This was my creative project. It gave me joy and it was hard to work on it. I learned some things. And it's okay that it didn't come to fruition the way it didn't turn into a book. And I'm letting that go.
It sounds too like what you're highlighting for us is that the process in and of itself was valuable for you. We're such a product-oriented culture. Our society is so product-oriented that we forget that the process in and of itself is so important. Totally different, but I took an acrylic painting class this year, learned that watercolor is my medium that I prefer. I don't, didn't love it. I have maybe 4 or 5 half-finished paintings that are just kind of sitting around. They're lovely. I'm decent at painting at this point, but I don't have the energy to get out the paints that I don't really like, to finish them. There's one that is a painting of my dog that we adopted in the spring. And, that painting is going to one of my kids for Christmas. There's one that I'm going to finish, but I think the other ones I just won't. I think I'll just let myself release them, let them become something else for somebody else,
I agree. I agree completely. What you said about the process is so important and so applicable to parenting. And I always enjoy the process more than the product or the result of anything. I swear. I love the preparation towards something. When I do live events, I love all the prep before the event. The holidays is the same thing. The birthday parties, I always enjoy the process
Mhm.
and never the end result or
Exactly. Yeah. Like this art class that I was taking, I did not have the goal of having a finished product at the end. I wanted the experience of to challenge myself into doing something new in an environment that was a new setting for me. It was at a community college that I'd never attended a class in before. I just wanted new things. I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to go out of my comfort zone, be vulnerable in that way. That was my goal in taking the class, was not to have some beautiful portrait I can hang on the wall. My goal was the process, and I think it's so relevant to parenting because we don't have any control ultimately over the product, right? Like the product is our kids, right? We are not carpenters shaping them, right? They are going to grow. I always remember,
that book that you recommended, The Carpenter and the Gardener.
yeah, and I mean, and I know you used to give out at your in-person classes seed packets, right? That's always stuck with me, Anna, that we don't know what we're gonna get. We provide fertile soil, we tend with, intention and care, and they are gonna grow the way that they grow to a certain extent. And the process really is all we've got as parents. Yeah.
And so, the first tip for our listeners for the new year, I would say, allow yourself to enjoy the process of whatever that you are doing, whether it's parenting, whether it's taking a class. I'm taking Italian, for example, and everybody's like, why are you taking Italian? I'm like,
Va bene.
and I'm like, because I wanna, it's fun. And nobody believes me that I'm taking Italian for no like real
I
reason.
believe it.
You do because you're my friend, and everybody's like,
I took Italian in my senior year of college just for fun because I was
oh,
like, oh my
oh,
gosh, I love it.
oh, so good, so good. I love it. I enjoy it, and everybody's like, so what are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna go to Italy? Are you gonna? I'm like, I may never even practice it, but I'm learning it. So enjoy the process, folks, and allow your children to enjoy the process of just being a kid, reading a book, building with Legos, whatever they are doing. I want my listeners to shift their perspective a little bit and focus on process this year more than the SAT scores, the results, the athletic scores, it's like it's such an hyper, especially the United States, right? Achievement, behavior focused, go, 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 do, culture. We forget that at the end of the day, it's all about the process of living the life that matters.
The relationship. Yeah. I think too, with that recommendation, I think taking a look at what hinders your ability to enjoy the process, to be present for the process. What hinders your kids' abilities to do that? What's getting in the way? I know for me that my phone is a huge thing that gets in the way. Technology for my kids sometimes can get in the way. And then I have to remind myself that at times the technology is the process for them too. My two kids have started making like videos with their friends. They don't have any access to TikTok or social media in any way. None of their friends do either. So they're making videos the way that, like, in the 80s, we would have made plays and made our parents watch them. But that's a creative process. So there is a piece of it too where you have to like learn how to honor your kids' process and yours, look at what's getting in the way and or what things you can add to allow yourself to drop into that present moment and be really present with the process.
Yeah. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, we already spoke, is let go and release what's not serving, whether it's an unfinished creative project, a thing that you worked so hard and it's like, why? But I invested so much. It's okay. Something new will come and take that space. And this is how I think about this. Like, imagine a parking lot where you park cars. When all the cars are parked, there's no open space for you to park your car. But if some of the cars are removed, then you can go in. So you have to open space for something new to come in, whether it's decluttering, getting rid of old relationships, updating your relationships, whatever area of your life you need to let go and release certain things. I say do it and something new will come. Whatever it's going to come, we don't know, but you need to have the space for it to land in that space, you know?
Absolutely. Yes, so important to create that space. And your kids need that space. I think that there's a piece of this that we're talking about space, not just physical space, right? So like there's this decluttering of our physical space, but there's also like an opportunity to check in on how we're using our time, how our kids are spending the time and allowing them some space too. So are the kids feeling overscheduled? Do they have downtime where they can be a little bored so that they can be creative and tap into different aspects of themselves? I think we need to think of space in a variety of ways.
I agree. Yeah. So I guess our next tip is to create space, whether that's physical space or mental space or just space in between your relationships. I just helped a friend declutter her toy playroom. And quite frankly, honestly, I remember like several years ago, I read a statistics that said an average US family has like over 150 toys. What I saw in my friend's house, it was more than 150 toys. It was enough for 2 preschools. And so we get things, we clutter our minds, our space, and that takes away from creativity for that boredom to
for their ability to play. Yeah.
The more stuff you have, the less you play. The less stuff you have, you engage longer. And if we can do an episode perhaps about play, I know you are. It's like,
I'm
yes,
such a nerd
like we should
about
do
it.
that because it's so important to have that space so that kids can engage and play and not deviate towards like screens, right?
Absolutely. I think too, so one of the rules of thumb that I use for when I'm helping parents declutter and think about their space and with the physical toys is for a kid to tidy the space that their toys are in shouldn't take them any more time than minutes for years they are old. So a 5-year-old should be able to tidy their play space in 5 minutes. A 10-year-old should be able to tidy their play space or their room in 10 minutes. And if they can't, that indicates that there's way too much in that space and a decluttering would probably help.
Yeah, I agree. I think you shared that with me. I'm remembering.
Yeah, it's just as a good, just a starting place to think about that.
Yes, yes. Because if you have and you want the toys to be visible and accessible for the kids and not in cute little containers tucked away. In my friend's house, like her Play-Doh was really there was 3, 4 steps to get to the Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, no, we have to remove the boxes and the things that the Play-Doh is in. If he likes playing with Play-Doh, your child.
And if Play-Doh is okay with you.
And if the Play-Doh is okay with you, one of this cupboard box is for the Play-Doh and it's open so he can see, take it out, play, and put it back. One thing in one little box, no more. She was like, oh my gosh, I said yes, this is what we're doing. And it's good to do the decluttering of the toys when your kids are not there, right? Because you don't want to hurt their feelings or negotiate with them endlessly. And when her kids came home, I asked my friend, I said, so what did the kids say? She said they didn't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
But they started playing and engaging, and it had the effect that we hoped for. It's so wonderful to do that. And I always when I do talks for preschool teachers at conferences, I always talk. I'm not sure if you know this or I shared with you, but the no toy kindergarten experiment in Germany in 1985.
I don't know if I remember that one. I mean, I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know that I've remember talking to you about it.
Yeah, so like in 1985, there was this experiment in Germany. The kindergarten is the preschool in their terms. They got rid of all the toys and just they left the basic furniture. And the results for a few months were remarkable. Deep play, creative, imaginative play, teamwork, collaboration, social play, no meltdowns, no behavioral issues.
Interesting.
Kids went outside, brought twigs and little things and built things, projects that lasted not only like one moment, but they were working on for days on end. And fast forward, they followed those same kids for many years later. No crime, no violence, no drug addiction. So there were lots of other good.
Interesting. Yeah.
So this is a fascinating study. I don't want to take time talking about this, but the less toys you have, the more your children play and the more open.
The better quality the play is for sure.
Yes, yes. So it's not, and I encourage my listeners to really reevaluate their play spaces, toys, and donate and get rid of, and don't buy new ones for the holidays.
Yeah, I have found that my kids, my family are much more willing, especially when they were little, they were much more willing to part with things once the new things had come in the holidays, right? So being able to say like, okay, so now we have to make some space, so this new thing came in, we need to make some space for it, so my kids are getting older, they're moving more into like their play looks different, but board games, for example, like right now our board game cupboard is at max capacity. We are not going to expand into other places. So if a new board game comes in during the holidays, which we often will kind of have a family gift of a new board game, we're going to have to find space for it because it can't live on the floor. It has to have a place to live,
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
So I have found that they are much more willing to let things move on when we are making space for things that are already there.
It's a good rule. I remember I interviewed on the podcast Andrew Mellon many, many years ago, maybe like in the first year of podcasting. And he said that one of the decluttering rules, he's an organizational expert, is when something new comes in, something old goes out.
Yeah. That energetic exchange too, right?
Yes, energetic exchange, space exchange, however you want to phrase it. You can teach that to your children too. And when you're releasing things, be grateful for what that thing served you for its purpose, right? Not just like,
Yeah. And excited for it to go out into the world and serve a new purpose too. Like that's something to, that like when we are giving away our gently used toys, my kids are always so excited to think about what family or child is going to play with them next, or if we're, donating things, my kids are, especially my oldest is a really like big supporter of our Humane Society. So when we're donating things like blankets and sheets, those things always go there. And she just loves thinking about like, or her stuffies, like that are dog safe. Like she loves thinking about those stuffies going to dogs that need them. And, it's good to enjoy, like have that process with your kids too, help them understand that these things have a life beyond us, and I mean, and with the rampant consumerism, having those conversations around, all of the stuff has to go somewhere. And do we really need more stuff coming in when we have something already that will work in the place. Do you know what I mean? Like that's something.
It's just my biggest pet peeve. Don't even get me started on this. Like, this is the stuff, the amount of stuff there is in the world or people have. It just drives me insane. Yeah. But what can we say about also reevaluating the extracurricular activities and creating space in your schedule, in your home, especially for the winter months? I feel like a lot of parents, I talk to parents, right? It's my job. So what I hear is younger and children, parents enrolling their younger and younger kids into like organized sports and activities. Like my client says, my son is 3. I don't know, shall I do basketball or soccer? I'm like, what? When your child is 3, there should be nothing. So.
I, Anna, it is, I know. And at the same time, like the reality of the world that we live in is that kids have started specializing in sports younger and younger. There is a lot of money to be made by the club teams. And I mean, not as a person who has not pushed my kids into any activities, I've preserved their peace and their space for play, for free play. Now at 10, my youngest is starting to think about like, oh, I might want to do a sport, but feels incredibly intimidated to enter into a sport when her friends that play soccer have been playing since they were 4 and she's new, so there is that piece of it that is, yeah, there is very real pressure on parents because it feels like there's the scarcity piece, right? There's the scarcity mindset around it. Like if I don't do it young, we've missed our chance. And all of the research tells us that starting young for kids sports is not actually good for their body. It's not good for their physical development. It's not good for, overuse injuries. I mean, we see kids as young as 15 completely burning out on sports because they've been playing since they were 4. Like it's not good for kids, but like it is also the reality. It's very hard to get a kid to have experience with a sport that isn't competitive and is about fun. I think that the only places you can really find that now are in small rural towns. The bigger towns, it's really hard.
It is. Yeah. And my daughter was in extracurriculars. She played sports. She played the business sport. She was on a volleyball team and recreationally, and we learned through all of this what it is. It's this money making machine and all of that. She was like on a varsity team for 4 years, but she herself became disappointed at the end. She loved volleyball so much and ended up with hating the sport so much so that we even had a Christmas ornament that represented like her number on it, like a little character.
Oh, how hard though that something she loved was stripped from her.
So that can happen too. Like you can become disillusioned with the ugly side of things. But I think no, sports are good. I am pro sports and all of that. Don't get me wrong. My daughter played all sorts of sports.
Oh, I totally wasn't trying to contradict what you're saying. I
But for
was
younger kids, I mean, like for 3, 4, 5-year-olds,
They need
I
lots of
think.
unstructured playtime, especially if they're in childcare. If they're in a childcare setting, because childcare settings are getting more and more pressure to be more and more structured, to be more and more like school earlier and earlier. So, I mean, especially if, they need unstructured playtime. Kids of all ages do. I mean, there are some kids whose personality and temperament, they're just miserable if they're not always doing something, going somewhere, like there are personalities like that. But, so respond, of course, to the family that you've got, the kids that you've got. But yeah, I so agree. Taking a look at this, the new year is a wonderful time to just kind of take a look at, are we feeling overscheduled? Are we feeling stretched thin? Maybe my kids are fine, but I'm stretched thin and running, to various things. And what do I need to do about that? How can I lean on my community to make adjustments? We have a few folks in my community who've had family structure changes over the past year that has made picking up from school much more inconvenient for them with their new family structure, new work schedules. So there's way more carpooling happening within my kids community. I'm bringing lots of kids home with me because I'm off in the afternoons in ways and free in ways that other people aren't. So, I mean, like getting creative about those things too. So, like maybe we don't have to stop a kid's sport, but maybe we can start carpooling with like another family that's in it to just so maybe the kid doesn't need the space, but maybe you do. Maybe you need a little space to do an unharried grocery shop as opposed to, running to pick up and drop off and pick up and drop off with three different kids. It's a lot.
It's a lot. No wonder 47% of the parents reported, were like last year, based on that Vivek Murthy's report, that they are unable to function day to day. 47% of the parents, and 41% they said they're burnt out. It's like, this is hard, but let's not make it harder than it needs to be. The scheduling, right? Going to places, being in cars constantly, scheduled activities. Kids need freedom, freedom to run, freedom to play. That freedom is diminishing. Play is like a, what is that word in English? When an animal goes extinct. It's like place
Endangered.
endangered for play is endangered for kids these days, and include, introduce the screens, and younger kids are on screen time and devices, and it's just a lot. But one thing, this leads me to another point that I want to make, is what I'm noticing in my clientele in working with parents and like seeing other friends and, community members, is a lot of parents struggle with mealtime. Eating together doesn't happen in every household. It's not every day because of the schedules. And I'm not encouraging that. If you can't do it, it's fine. But what I'm noticing is people order food through Instacart, and I'm not judging those people. But what I want to say is just reevaluate and see the benefits of doing it differently. So if you're ordering your food through Instacart, meaning you're not going to the grocery store, you're not taking your children to the grocery store because of various reasons. Your children don't see food, they don't shop with you, you don't have conversations. Then you come home, you prepare convenience food. A lot of families don't eat together. When they eat, everybody's ordering different things from different restaurants. Like there's one family, there's four kids and mom and dad, six members. They all eat different things. One is eating in their room on their computer. One is playing video games in the basement. This bothers me, this connection. And what I want to encourage parents to do is just at least aim for one shared meal a week. Can you commit to that? Whether it's out, maybe you all go out because the kids eat different things. Maybe you make something at home. But I feel like something is disappearing from the fabric of this social life. Is no one is inviting people over for dinner, or unless it's a holiday. And so this normal, the way I grew up, and perhaps maybe you, but meals need to be shared. It's a social time. It's a time to connect and relax.
Yeah, I mean, humans have been connecting over shared meals
And it's disappeared.
forever. Like it is a deeply human thing.
And with the convenience of ordering different things and everybody wanting different things, it's just like, I feel like really this bothers me and I feel sad about this. What do you have to say? What do you notice?
Yeah, I mean, I want to, of course, have so much compassion for families who are all doing the very best that they can. And I think the research on shared family meals is pretty clear that there's a definite benefit to families meeting up on a regular basis, sharing space that are, technology free. I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be a meal. If meals like dinner time isn't going to work out for you guys, I think that having the effort and the intention that, okay, so maybe we aren't like the way our schedules are, we're not able to do that. And there's lots of families where someone's on third shift and so they're sleeping or just waking up, right? So like we have to make room for that. But the research on like shared family meals has less to do with the food and more to do with the intentionally coming together, right? So, like, even if we're gonna, DoorDash from three different places, can we make sure that that it gets delivered at the same time? Or that maybe we're all coming and going from activities all evening, but we all are home around 8. If we've got older kids, can we sit down and play a game together? A hand of cards before we go our separate ways for bedtime. Do you know what I mean? Like there's the ways to be intentional in coming together.
I feel like, yeah, theoretically, I agree with you, but I'm going to push back on that because
It does have to be intentional, right?
it's not going to happen realistically. If you're not eating, eating is like a,
Yes,
it
yeah.
has to be. Eating is kind of like this forced thing that we do. We have to eat, right? So if we can get our children and our family together for a shared meal, it could be a shared snack. It could
A
be
shared snack, a shared dessert, a shared hot chocolate, something.
it could be, I'm not saying dinner every night, right? I'm sharing a shared meal. There is a big difference. It can be a Sunday breakfast, brunch, something. It could be a shared meal in a restaurant, but you're together around the table. I think if you're successful with having connection and togetherness around the meal, then you can say, hey, let's play a board game. I feel like going the other way, for me at least, from my experience, is not going to create that. Even if you're intentional, the kids are not going to come, but they will come around the food because it's a necessity because everybody eats. Do you know what I'm saying? The difference?
I do. I hear you for sure.
Theoretically, that's a good idea, but I think it's a lot harder to establish that.
It is. Yeah. It does take more
You
effort.
have to be very intent, and you're going to be so frustrated. Your kids are going to say, no, I don't want to play a board game. I want to do my own thing. Go convince your kid. But food, everybody eats food. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot easier to create that shit. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
Less work for the parents because we're already eating, right? And one shared meal is not a lot. Like you can cook with your younger kids, involve them in the shopping, cooking, chopping process. I think it's disappearing, the social aspect from our life. And no wonder people are lonely and disconnected. When was the last time, let's say, you hosted a dinner party at your house, or you went to someone's house for a coffee or tea or some shared meal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
It is rare. I have one friend who is a phenomenal community builder. I saw this post a few weeks ago where they were talking about how everybody wants a village, but no one is willing to be a villager. But this one friend of mine, she is the consummate villager. She will drop everything for you. If you, I mean, she's just amazing at building community. And so she hosts, she's very intentional with it. So like in October, it's mending month, and every Sunday she has people over you're supposed to bring your mending or a project you're working on and hang out with her. She has little snacks and it's lovely. So she does a really great job of that, I think, but she's really intentional with it. It really matters to her. It's really valuable to her. And I think that like we don't, we get so caught up in our own day-to-day lives that we are not necessarily always thinking about the parts of ourselves that need to be nourished, the full humanity that we are, that we are human beings that have been on this earth for thousands and thousands of years that have very basic needs at a certain level that I think our modern lifestyle do not allow us to attend to or don't encourage us to attend to in the way that we need to. Do you know what I mean? Like that we really need to.
Yeah, I am the villager here in my community. I do,
You're the villager.
I am. I create the book club. I do so many things for people, communities. I invite people over. I don't have little kids, but I invite my neighborhood, a few families for a Christmas hot cocoa. I make dough and they make cookies in my home and they mess it up. I allow that. I am that person in my neighborhood. I want that. And I want people and children to share that experience. And, it's important. And so what is the takeaway from all of this? This is so important for me. I cannot emphasize enough. how what I see now, what's happening is just so dangerous, even for our mental health and well-being, the food
Do you
aspect.
think that like our individual devices has an like is part of the problem? Do you think that that is part of why it makes it so easy to just go into our own little worlds?
It's the conveniences. Yes. It's not only the device, it's the conveniences. It's the DoorDash, it's the Uber Eats. It's all of those conveniences that are there and our children have experienced. And the pandemic made it worse, right? So we learned to order out. Before the pandemic, I didn't even know what DoorDash or Uber Eats were. Did you? I mean, were you ordering things on this?
I still don't. My husband does when he often has like a late night meal when he's watching like sports. He stays up late watching sports. But he's the door dasher in our family. But no, we don't do that. Like it costs money. I look at it sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, it's so much more expensive. I'll just make it here. Like I just can't. I grew up, with school teachers for parents. I just can't, we can't. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, we have similar background. We cooked I still cook everything from scratch from like everyday meals but the conveniences are there and and it's the busyness of our life because people are busy and some of it is imposed, some of it is you create your own busyness. And so you don't have time to eat, to cook, to shop. Naturally, that should be a priority, but it falls down the list of priorities.
Yeah.
And then you have the devices, and then you have the conveniences, and you have the junk food and the bad food, and then you have ADHD and all sorts of symptoms and school refusals, and the problems become bigger and bigger. Disconnection, isolation, loneliness, mental health issues. It's like, yes, it's all of it. And so, where can we make shifts in our home, in our parenting, in our own little communities? So that we can have an intentional life, to slow down, to say no to things, to invite the things that we want. Do you think it's a lot of work for me to organize a little Christmas party in my own home for little kids and my kid is not participating? Give them dough and to make cookies, to make hot chocolate, to decorate some art project. But it gives me joy because I'm giving them joy. They will remember this. Yes, it involves work, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So I feel like we are sort of choosing the easy path always in everything. And yes, the phones have to do something with that. Instead of like doing something difficult, you watch something easy and fun, right? And so, yes, and it trains your mind. And the brain doesn't like difficulties, right?
No, right. The brain likes it to be easy.
The brain wants easy stuff. And so there are conveniences and a lot of easy things. I mean, you click on Amazon, it comes the same day in 2 hours.
It's wild.
It's wild how life has been. It's so fast. You know what my daughter said? She said, Mom, on the plane, she was sitting next to a college student. She said she was watching shorts, like reels, and she was fast forwarding them. She said, Mom, there is a problem. I
Yeah.
said, oh my gosh, if you're like fast forwarding the already short content, then we do have a problem now.
Hmm.
So, what can we say about screens? I know it's a hot topic and we've done lots of episodes on my podcast, but can we give parents a few intentions for the new year
Yeah.
around screen time and devices?
I mean, I had a guest on my podcast that I did the interview this week, so it will come out, in the new year. But she was talking about our phones being this generation's secondhand smoke. So not even thinking about kids' technology, thinking about the parents' technology and how seriously we really should be taking our relationship with technology and our relationship with our phones. I think I've seen that in other places, but having this person really just drive it home, like, would you would you smoke a cigarette in a car with your child? Would you smoke a cigarette while you're, sitting next to your child while they're showing you their drawing? No, you definitely wouldn't. Right? For the most part, most families are, if you are smoking, you're taking it outside, you're not doing it right next to your kid. That was That's an interesting thing to think about for me. I have been off social media for a long time. It creeps in periodically because I do like to sell things on like Facebook Marketplace or give things away in my local Buy Nothing group, because I really do feel strongly that things shouldn't end up in the landfill, that if they have life yet left, they should go to where they can be used. Um, so some of the things that I'm doing to decrease my own technology use is to buying more or going to the library for more physical books. Doing more like art coloring book journaling, because I find myself going to my phone because I need to feel like I'm being creative. So like I'll go to Pinterest and look at paintings that I might want to try, but I'm not actually being creative. My brain is getting tricked into thinking it's being creative and it's not, right? So giving myself easy to access things that I can do with my hands. I'm really excited to start doing some word puzzles. Both my kids really love word puzzles, like crosswords, word finds and stuff. I do not like them, but I know some people really love them, but I know that they're good for me. They certainly would be better than looking at Pinterest, So I got myself an attractive, word puzzle book that I'm going to be having out so that my phone can be put away, So it's easy to say just stay off of it, but you do have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. Yeah.
I like that. You need a replacement. I agree. I agree with that. And those are great suggestions. And I
Yeah,
think the
absolutely.
biggest one is modeling for our kids. It starts with, yeah, and having conversations and all of and not giving the younger kids the screens and technology. Oh, can we just agree on that? I don't know what the age is, but I think it's so bad for the younger kids.
I mean, Anna, I think it's really hard though when your kid enters public school, they come home that for like first graders come home with a Chromebook or an iPad.
There was an article in the New York Times recently that there is a study, and the title of the article was "Computers Out of the Classroom: Why we need to get rid of computers in the
I
classroom."
hope that we do. I just cannot understand it.
Hopefully, there is a movement, and I saw research about shorts and reels, how dangerous they are for your brain than like long form content. I mean, there's so much out there, and I think people are aware of it, but it's hard to break the bad habits. What I want to share with my listeners is I want parents to be more proactive. I know some parents in my community and in my friends group, they are creating pacts and agreements with other parents. I have a group of friends who are like, we're not going to give our children cell phones until they enter high school. And so everybody's on the same page in that friend group, in that, right, in that circle. And so a lot of parents are doing these kinds of things. Advocate, I say, be the change you want to see. Go into your community, into your friend circle, start a conversation, sign a contract, make an agreement, however that looks like. It's doable. A lot of people are doing this. They're creating small agreements and pacts among themselves for certain things like social media use or phone introduction, stuff like that.
I think having contracts with your kids around those things too. So when we give them their first phone, do we just hand
No,
it
we
to them or
don't. We
do
don't. We
no, of course
don't.
not, right? But I mean, I like if we liken it to having a kid learn to drive a car, right? So you've gone through this recently with your daughter. We don't just say like, okay, they turned 16, here's your full license and the keys, like good luck. We would never do that, right? They have to go to classes, they have to, practice with people in the family, out of the family. They have to have a probationary license for a couple years. They have to go through this whole process. And yet we just hand the kids the phone. It's just as dangerous of a device as a car. They need training, they need supervision, they need opportunities to practice, in safe contexts. Like they need that. And that's been a helpful. My oldest is 13. She's definitely in that place where she's asking, when am I going to get my own phone? When am I going to, because we have a dumb phone because she does babysit. So she needs to be able to have some way to get, because nobody has house phones anymore. So she needs to to have some way to get a hold of a parent when she's babysitting or us, to be picked up. But I mean, we're definitely having that conversation and it's really helpful for her. She was horrified to think that somebody might just give her the keys at 16 without any guidance. And I was like, well, it's going to be that way with your phone too, right? So your phone, you're going to get a lot of guidance. You're going to get a lot of support. You're going to get monitoring, so I can make sure that you're being safe with it. And I think she accepted that analogy,
That's a good way of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was reading this book, The Anxious Generation. I'm totally spacing on the author, but
Yeah, Jonathan Haidt.
yeah. So one of the things in that book he was talking about is how few rites of passage there are within our world. And so like we're returning that her eighth grade graduation into a rite of passage. Part of it will be having a phone, but there will be a lead up to that kind of training for it, conversations, a contract between her and us around safe usage and expectations. And there's a way to do this mindfully and intentionally. And I'm saying this from a place of not being so mindful and intentional when that first dumb phone came into my kids' lives. So, I mean, I didn't, so we're using the Bark phone, which is it's a stripped down smartphone, but it has stuff on it that I had no idea it had on it. I didn't take the time to play with it. I should have played with it for a month before I introduced it to the kids. I should have, there were way more conversations than we needed to have. And I think that speaks to, I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry, Anna. This is something that's been on the top of.
No, it's okay. I'm listening because this is, yeah, it's an important topic and nobody investigates and learns before giving it to their kid. It's just we do it because it's
Well, I think that there's this easy slope too, right? So many of us have, okay, so they've had maybe a Kindle Fire or some kind of tablet when they were little and they weren't doing things like poking around looking for stuff. They weren't sneaking onto YouTube or stumbling upon things they shouldn't have. It feels safe. And then they go to school and they get these Chromebooks that we really have no say over, right? Because we're not the administrator on it. We can't decide what apps are on it. The school determines those things because it's school property. And, it's just it feels like there's this slide that happens. And then all of a sudden, now we're in a place where we have to set limits and boundaries. And I think that, I got complacent too. There's the need to be intentional and aware, especially during those years where they're moving from being little kids to being big kids. I think it's so easy to just let things slide during those years when in reality they're the years where we still have a lot of influence over our kids. We still have a lot of opportunities, way more than once they're already, 14, 15. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that those years 6 and 10 are such important years. Yeah.
crucial. Yeah, these are crucial years. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, this is a topic. It seems like this is your pain point, this screen time topic. I am in a good boat. Like I did everything you said intentionally, mindfully, introduced it, had the contract conversations about screen time. And my daughter still has screen time. She's 17 and a half. But she's a very mindful user. She doesn't have TikTok. She understands a lot. We have conversations ongoing. I think I did a good enough job in terms of screen time, but also it was easier, right? She didn't grow up with an iPad in her hand. She didn't have a computer, TV. Not, it's a different generation. Do you know what I mean? Today's generation, this alpha generation is different. So I feel like it's a lot harder for today's parent who has a 3, 4, 5, 10-year old than for me. I want to recognize that. But there are still things you can do. Sounds like the screen time is a pain point for you. The meal time is a pain point for me.
It's something that like I'm in the throes. It's not
Not a, like you have a lot to say and you want to discuss. That's what I mean.
yeah, like there's just lots of things to think about, and my kids are wonderful. They are conscious and aware. When we give them limits, they may not like them, but they understand that the limits are not just because I want to be mean, it's because I'm trying to keep them safe and healthy. The conversations are ongoing and ever changing as they age, so this isn't something that is, I think it's so easy. It's easy to get
Yeah,
complacent.
I agree.
It's
Yeah.
easy to just slip. And so, I mean, even thinking about like my daughter, my 13-year-old was struggling to find some books to read. And so she started listening to some audiobooks that she had listened to a long time ago. And they started off nostalgic, and then she wanted more of them as a big, long series, the Guardian of Gahul series. And then she got to the end of the series. She listened to all of the books. And I had just been noticing like she was spending more time listening than doing other things. It was eating into things. And so when she got to the end of the books, I kind of resolved within myself that I was not going to help her find another series. I was going to let her, I wasn't going to pay for any more books. I wasn't going to let her pay for any of more of the audiobooks. If she wanted to go find a new book to read, she's going to go to the library. She's going to figure out like which audiobook she could check out on Libby, like I just kind of like, because I was just noticing that slip within her of like, okay, so this thing is easy. Putting in the audiobook is easy. It's harder to find a book to read, to find something to do, to find something to be creative with. And I mean, and that's like, so I guess for the listeners, I just want you to know that you're not alone, like in that, like, gosh, it's so nice when we don't have to have a conflict over things because they're happily listening to their audiobooks. And is it what's best for them? Is it, and so like, oh gosh, how did we even get here? So like there are moments where you'll be like, God, how did we get to this place? I just thinking about another one where, we adopted this dog in the spring. Well, the dog was new. She was clingy. She'd had a hard life. She was
He had
coming in.
attachment issues.
Yeah, attachment issues. She wanted to be close to us. And in that process, we've just stopped eating dinner at the table. We started eating dinner on the couch where she liked to sit and snuggle with us. Part of it was she needed to be trained to leave our food alone. So that was partly training. But then I like kind of we've like I woke up in like September and I was like, I really miss sitting at the table. I really miss dinner time. Even if we don't have a screen on, like I miss us sitting around at a table where, and so like I put my foot down. The dog was anxious. She did not like it. She wants us sitting on the couch, but we had to all learn to tolerate that. So it's easy. I guess to bring this back to the point of this podcast, this episode really is about, okay, so this is an opportunity to check in, to wake up, to notice, have we slipped of what we think are the goals and our values for our family? What are the corrections we need to bring us back into alignment? It happens to all of us. We all have moments of unconsciousness, right? And we're never going to be perfectly conscious all the time. And this is one of those times in the year where we can spend a little time reflecting, figuring out if we're still doing what's serving us, if what we're doing is serving us, or do we need to make changes to just bring us back into that alignment, with what our stated goals and values.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a good place to offer this exercise that I was thinking of today is just to start this gentle monthly reflection, which is a couple of questions, something like this. What worked? What was hard? What surprised me about my child? What surprised me about myself? Can you make this a monthly reflection? Write in your
Mm.
journal. And because you're right, we fall that curve you're saying. We become complacent. It's very easy. And as humans, we habituate, right, to things like we adopt and habituate. And therefore, intentions are good reminders to pause, to slow down, and to remind yourself what your intention is so that you can course correct and move forward. Just because you set an intention at the beginning of the year doesn't mean it's going to withstand until December remembered, you have to have regular check-ins. Like I choose a word for the year, an intentional word. But if you ask me, in the beginning of the year, I was adamant about that word. It was level up. Every time I was doing something, I'm like, yeah, level up. Yeah, next level. And so by, I guess, several months later, like in June, July, if you ask me now, I'm like, I never even thought of my intentional word. Good to have that check-in with yourself from time to time. Maybe it's a monthly check-in. I think it's good to say, what is my intention for 2026 in terms of for myself as a parent? What kind of parent do I want to be? What is one word that can, maybe it's playful, maybe it's creative, right? Maybe it's relaxed, maybe less busy. Have an intention for yourself as a parent and for your parenting, right? How do you want your parenting to go? And have periods to reflect and course correct and remind yourself of your intention. It's important.
Yeah. Do you know what your word is for this year? Have you decided yet?
No, I have not decided yet. I am still thinking about it because it's going to be a different year for me. As I said, I'm trying to set some goals, and my daughter is going to go to college. So my year is going to look very different. That first half is going to look different. The second half is going to look completely different. And the middle part is going to be a transitional period. So I am aware of that, and maybe I can have multiple, maybe two or three intentions for the year. So I have to figure out what my intention is, what I want to keep doing in my parenting, in my life, and what are the things that I want to let go and release and reevaluate and reconsider. I want to be intentional about that. I want to prioritize certain things, and I want to encourage my listeners to do the same, prioritize rest and downtime. It's important, and protect that one shared meal, family meal, whether it's a snack or something small. But I think I really want parents to take away from this episode that part. What else? Anything else that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about for myself as I am move into 2026. I haven't chosen a word yet either. I usually do have a word, I'll have one by January 1st. But I think the thing that I'm reflecting on most for me and my family right now is, how are we changing? Like in this developmental stage, and my family is this developmental stage that my kids are in, but that my family is in. What needs to shift? What needs to change? My kids are tweens, teenagers. We're moving into a different phase of life where they're going to need us differently. And how do I want to show up as a parent during that time? Like, it was easy for me to be present when my kids were playing, and they wanted me to look and see their magnetile tower and stuff. It's different now. The qualities of it is different. The day-to-day is different. And so I think I'm looking forward to having some of my reflection time really rooting into, okay, so these are the values. These are my core values, my overarching big goals and dreams for my family. What does that look like now with a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old and two 42-year-old parents? What does that look like now? I think I was very good at articulating that when my kids were younger, and I don't know that I fully fleshed that out for them in the here and now, so I think that that's what I'll be doing.
That's such, oh, it's a brilliant point. And yes, you have to do that. I agree. And it could be very difficult because we didn't have that with our parents. I know for myself, I didn't have a mother, so it was hard to figure that out, what kind of a mom I want to be to a 13-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17, 18. It's like, you need to think about that because you're not going to parent the way you
When they were
parented
3 or 5. Yeah.
when they were they're 35. It just doesn't work, and they're not fully adults. So there's a lot. I can say so much about this. My friend asked me, she said, can you tell me the success, like she said, your daughter is so wonderful and this and that, like reflecting back, what do you consider you have done that
Uh-huh.
yielded to this result, basically, crudely speaking. And so I started reflecting on what is it that I have done in my parenting. Maybe we should do a podcast about this. And I started thinking, what did I do or what I didn't do that I have this type of a person now, right? Like I didn't use rewards, I didn't use punishments, but what else did I do? And so this would be an interesting episode for us to reflect. I can reflect back and maybe you can like shape your own, you know?
Would your daughter come on for that? Because that would be amazing.
She does not want to come on the podcast. I asked her, but maybe it was the wrong question. I said, "Hey, do you want to come and talk about screen time with my listeners on the podcast?" She said, "I'm not an expert. I don't have any advice to give out to the listeners." She said, "Why don't you interview someone?" I said, "Well, I want your opinion and stuff." When she was little, she would be excited about the podcast, but now I don't know.
It's
I
different.
can
She's out in the world in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, she has her own life. I can ask her, but I think I would be honest in myself and reflect, what did I do? Like, how did I parent?
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, it's just always interesting to because their experience of our parenting is different too, right? So
yeah, yeah, yes, it is.
yeah, I mean, no one would expect her to be an expert, but just even like, what was it like being Anna Sewald's daughter? It would be interesting. Yeah.
Well, she says things about certain things, like when she encounters other things in the world, she says, "Wow, I'm so thankful you didn't oppress me." Or like statements like that I've
Yeah. My
heard.
kids too.
Like
Yeah.
I've heard things like that, but I'm sure there is other stuff that she would like to say. But we should do an episode about that. And let's conclude this episode about intentional parenting. You're always good at closing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been talking about today is kind of taking stock and checking in. And I really love that last invitation, Anna, to do that on a regular basis. I think it's so, you know, so tempting to put it all in this one time period, because the new year is coming and that's something that culturally, people have done for years, as the sun starts to come back. And I mean, it is a big thing to do seasonally, but checking in regularly. And that's what we've been talking about, checking in on, are we living in our overarching family values and goals? Are we in alignment with those? What is our, like, what are, do we have too much scheduling, too much toys? Like, what can we declutter? What can we remove? We've been talking about this whole time really is just taking stock, checking in. Where are the stress points? Where are the conflict? What needs to shift to bring a little bit more ease, a little bit more peace, and a little bit more intention into those moments? Because my guess is when intention slips, that's when those pain points come in, and intention can solve some of that. When we're really intentional about how we approach things like sports or screen time, it can take some of the strife out of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder for to write down all those categories, sports, extracurricular, meals, this, that, all of those things that we talked about, and write an intention for each of the categories, maybe even.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So that you're really intentional in not like doing things by habit or because you did all those years and for we have to do reevaluate, reconsider, right? You're in a different phase of life, parenting, your life is different. It's okay. Shake things up, you know?
Hmm. And when I think about intention too, when I think about setting an intention, I really resonate with how do I want this to feel? Like, what do I want the feeling that my kids have to be around meals? How do I want my family to feel when it comes to moving our bodies with joy? How do I want it to feel when we are, engaged with our community? Like honing in on that feeling is what works for me and setting an intention. It allows me to be much more specific on things.
Yeah, that's an excellent point because someone may say, what is an intention, right? You're right. You need to feel a certain way. Yeah, go with that. I agree. That's a really, really good point. Well, Laura, I always enjoy. I love. It's so stimulating. It's so exciting. Like I want to talk about so many things with you.
Me too,
Tangents
always.
and little things. We'll do a podcast about how I have parented, the mistakes and the good things. Like take a look at my journey and for you to maybe shape how you want to parent the next phase.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yes, you should.
We need, that's something that I have been intentionally seeking out over the past 2 years is elders, is not that you were an elder to me, but we're contemporaries, but the finding people to guide us, that's something that like we don't have enough of too, I would welcome the opportunity to be guided by you as I enter those teen years with my girls.
We should say what worked, what didn't work, you know? It's so interesting. Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And happy holidays to you and happy new year. May you be healthy, both in physical health and mental health. That's the biggest one.
Oh, same to you and to your family and to your beautiful community. Thanks so much for having me, Anna.
Always. That concludes today's conversation, my dear listener, and I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss future episodes, and take a moment to leave a rating and review. It really helps others find the show. I would love to hear your thoughts and takeaways. Join the conversation in the Authentic Parenting Facebook group or visit the contact page at authenticparenting.com/contact to get in touch. Authentic Parenting is an ad-free show, and your donations is what makes this podcast possible. Support the show by visiting authenticparenting.com/support or becoming a patron at patreon.com. Your contributions make it possible for me to continue bringing you weekly episodes. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. Until next week, I am Anna Seewald. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was edited and produced by Ami Noor. If you need expert support to bring your dream podcast to life, from editing to full production, Ami Noor can help make it happen. You'll find his link in the show notes.